Welcome! Is this your first time in a wilderness hut? Spectacular! Now, if you don't mind, I would like to go through a little bit of a list on what to do and what not to do when staying in one of these. Alright, so if you're on foot, on skis, or hiking in some other way, you can use one of these. You can stay here for up to 2 nights, and if you're traveling with a large group, we suggest using tents. Alright, now reservable wilderness huts are locked and a fee is charged for staying. You can get the key from visitor centers and you can check online or by calling which huts are available. But getting back to open wilderness huts, the last person to arrive always has the right to stay. Obviously you're not just gonna evict the previous people there, but just so you know, the last person to arrive has the right to stay overnight. And always remember to give your fellow travelers their space, whether it's sleeping or reading or just being on their own. Just remember to give fellow travelers their space should they need it. Now every hut comes with their own hut information folder, which we recommend you read as soon as you arrive. One of the things included in the folder is that smoking is not allowed in wilderness huts. Put it away. Just put it away. Put it away. Put it away. Thank you. Another important tidbit in the folder is that you should always check the fireplace and stove and whether or not they're in good condition. And should the unthinkable happen and the previous visitor has not tidied up the fireplace, you should do that before you start using it. Cardboard and clean paper may be used as kindling. Any other type of trash goes back home with you. Now once you're done with the fireplace, take the ash out and put them in the container outside of the hut. They are always clearly marked ashes. Should the hut have a gas stove, again, always read the manual before using. But it's usually pretty straightforward. You open the main valve and then use a match to light up which burner you want to use. When you're done using the stove, turn the valve back to the off position. Let's have a few words about the toilet and waste. Every wilderness hut has an outhouse somewhere in the vicinity. And in addition to its obvious use, you can use it to dispose of decomposable waste. And surely everything else fits right back into your backpack. Speaking of outhouses, fellas, let's just agree to do all of our business in the outhouse. The yellow snow around the front door is not a pleasant sight. Thank you so much. Every open and reservable wilderness hut has its own guest book. Now the main purpose is to mark down any observations you may have made at the next destination so that people will find you should the unthinkable happen. But to put it simply, if you come across any shortages or deficiencies, mark them down. So write down where you're coming from, where you're going, and write down your name if you want to. You don't have to, but it's what I do. Now one of the nice things to do if you want to be considerate is to chop some firewood. As you can imagine, arriving to the hut tired, just ready for bed, and you would still have to chop firewood instead of just having it right there, ready-made for you. It's a nice thing to do for others. Good wilderness hut manners. Now every hut has its own storage box for firewood, and it looks something like this. Now the main thing is to check that there's enough firewood for the next travelers, but make sure there's enough distance between the box and the fireplace, because you know embers tend to set things on fire and we don't want that. And if you want to be extra nice, carve some kindling from the firewood. Now it's absolutely okay to have mood lighting, but just make sure all the candles are on top of something that will not catch fire. So don't leave them unattended and don't have too many candles next to each other. Now upon departure, it's good to tidy up a little bit. And don't leave any food items behind. It's gonna get eaten by moles and mice. When it comes to clean water buckets, just flip them upside down so it doesn't get any stale water in it and it doesn't, collect mold and stuff like that. And it's always good to keep the clean water bucket on a higher shelf than the rest of the buckets. If there's a sauna available, remember to empty out the water buckets and warm water vessels as well. And during wintertime, it's obviously a good manners to shovel some snow. So if you come to a wilderness hut and you see a giant mountain of snow covering it, take out your shovel, roll up those sleeves, and get to work. Now if someone comes to the hut and doesn't want to contribute in the shoveling, don't get mad, don't hold a grudge, just offer them a nice hot beverage, whether it's tea or coffee. It doesn't really matter.